Nice, there are my slides. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm very happy to be able to present our project to you. I will try to be fast so we have time to finish. Next slide, please. So I always start with a little introduction about why groundwater is important, but I'm sure all of you already know that it's extremely important for our society and ecosystems. And well, the groundwater is under pressure. In terms of quantity, this is mainly because of overexploitation and climate change. Next slide, please. If we want to manage these problems that we have with groundwater, we need to apply an informed groundwater management, which is based on good monitoring. But this is a problem we have. So groundwater monitoring is limited in many areas of the world. There are poor in situ capabilities, sparse and non-representative networks, etc., etc. So next. This is why we thought, okay, if we cannot rely completely in situ monitoring stations, perhaps we can look into other technologies, such as satellites. Next slide, please. So this is the motivation for our project, the Global Gravity-Based Groundwater Product. So the idea is to take the results from GRACE and GRACE Follow-on, so the satellites that Jay mentioned before, and also data from the Copernicus services, which is the monitoring network of Europe, and create a product that has global coverage, 0.5 degrees of spatial resolution. It will be from 2002 until the present. It will have monthly temporal resolution. And more importantly, the idea is that this is an operational product at the end, and it will be part of the Copernicus Climate Change Service. This is the idea we have. Next slide, please. So how does it work? Because many people wonder, well, how can you monitor groundwater from space? How can you see it? And we don't really see it with the satellites, but we derive it from them. So from GRACE, we are able to derive change in total water storage. And if you think about the total is made up of different parts. So change in groundwater, in glacier mass, snow water equivalent, root soil moisture, and surface water bodies. Next, please. So if we modify this equation a little bit, next, please, we can derive groundwater from the total. So the total, which is calculated using GRACE, we derive all the other components which are derived from Copernicus, and then we have the total groundwater storage change. Next slide, please. So these are our preliminary results. Which show things that we already thought so, like we see the trend of depletion of groundwater in the west of the United States, the east of Brazil, north of Africa, in Europe, in India. So we were not surprised to see these results. This is like the 5th version of our product until now. We are still working on improving it. Next slide, please. And when we work with satellites, we think, well, we should also compare the result with in situ values, right? To be sure that we are showing something that makes sense. So we are making a validation of G3P using, well, data from many aquifers. And in this slide, I'm showing you 3. So for the Florida, the Paris Basin, and the High Plains, we extract values of G3P and we compare this with the same magnitude, so groundwater storage change, but using groundwater levels and storage, and other hydrogeological variables. Next slide, please. Specific yield, I wanted to say. So you see there the correlation with in situ and satellite is quite high, 0.8, 0.7. So the first two are comparing directly with groundwater levels because we didn't have specific yield values. And in the last one, we are comparing the actual magnitude. So when we see this, we feel very happy that the satellite is showing good things. But if we go to the next slide, you will see the uncertainty. So of course, nothing is perfect. And for example, in the Paris Basin, we see the uncertainty is really high. So we are also aware of this. And we are now in the process of understanding why in some areas of the world the uncertainty is so high and trying to justify it from a groundwater perspective. Next slide, please. On a different note, during the project, we conducted a user survey because we wanted to know what people would think of this product, if it would be used or not, and also collect some information about spatial and temporal resolution and uncertainty. Next, please. And I wanted to show you one of the questions. We ask, do you think that you can use G3P in your current position to people from research institutes, geological surveys, intergovernmental entities, etc.? And 82% say yes. So this is very promising to us. And then we ask, how would you use it? And this was an open question. And we could gather the answers in those 4 categories that you see there. And this is also very promising, that the G3P can be used for advocacy, awareness raising, science policy interface management, to combine it with models for monitoring, forecasting, etc. So this has a lot of uses. It will have. Next slide, please. If you go now to try to find the product, you won't find it because it will be available from January this year. But you will find it in these 2 places, so in the GGMN, the Global Groundwater Monitoring Network, and also in the Gravity Information Service. Those are the websites, and you can, of course, find information about the project in our website and some other products. And as a conclusion, well, G3P is an innovative tool. Of course, this approach has been done before, as Jay showed, but the idea is that this is an operational service, so this is new, and it contributes to a better understanding of groundwater storage change around the world. It has potential to support many activities, so water management, forecasting, risk assessments, and as well as raising awareness on the problems around the world that groundwater is facing. And at the end, well, G3P can contribute to increase the valuing of groundwater, especially in places where there is no other tool available. Yeah, so I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Claudia. So